Tonight, when you finally lie down, something strange will happen. The noise of the day will fade, the screens will go dark, your body will go still, and your mind will explode. Thoughts you didn't ask for will start arriving. The conversation from 3 years ago, the thing you should have said, the thing you did say, the embarrassing moment that makes your whole body cringe even now, the worry about tomorrow and the worry about the worry about tomorrow, it doesn't stop. It only gets louder, and no matter how tired you are, sleep refuses to come until your brain is finished with you. You've probably blamed yourself for this. You've probably told yourself to just stop thinking. But that advice is completely useless, and the reason why reveals something extraordinary about what your brain actually is. Your brain is not a machine that turns off when you no longer need it. It is a survival organ, and it has a schedule that has nothing to do with yours. In 1995, a neuroscientist named Marcus Reichel made a discovery that changed everything. He was studying brain activity during rest, expecting to see the brain quiet down when a person wasn't doing anything. Instead, he found the opposite. A specific network of brain regions lit up intensely the moment a person stopped focusing on an external task. He called it the default mode network. Your brain's default setting is not rest, it is reflection. The default mode network is active when you daydream, when you replay past events, when you imagine future scenarios, when you think about what other people are thinking about you, and when you construct your sense of self. It is the part of your brain that makes you, you, and it powers up the moment external demands stop. When you lie down at night, you are not giving your brain a break. You are removing the only thing that was suppressing it. This is why nighttime is when everything hits. Think about what your waking hours actually look like. You have tasks, you have deadlines, you have other people in front of you demanding your attention. Every single one of these things forces your prefrontal cortex, the brain's task execution system, to keep the default mode network quiet, not permanently, just temporarily suppressed, the way a cork holds pressure inside a bottle. The moment you lie down, the cork comes out. And out comes everything your brain was holding. Matthew Walker, a sleep scientist at the University of California, Berkeley, and author of some of the most cited work on sleep and the brain, describes nighttime rumination as the brain's attempt to process emotional residue. Your brain doesn't just store memories, it sorts them, it evaluates them, it tags some as resolved and flags others as unfinished. The thoughts that arrive at night are not random. They are specifically the ones your brain marked as unresolved during the day. This is not a malfunction. This is the system working exactly as designed. But designed for what? Here is where the story gets strange. Your ancestors, stretching back hundreds of thousands of years, did not sleep the way you sleep. The idea of one long, uninterrupted 8-hour sleep is a remarkably modern invention. Historian Roger E. Kirch spent 15 years researching pre-industrial sleep patterns and discovered something buried in letters, court records, diaries, and medical texts from across centuries. For most of human history, people slept in two separate segments: a first sleep from roughly sunset to around midnight, a waking period of 1 to 2 hours, then a second sleep until dawn. That waking period in the middle of the night was not considered a problem. It was used. People prayed, people had sex, people talked to their partners, people lay in a drowsy, half-conscious state that many described as remarkably pleasant, calm, reflective, vivid with thought. Some wrote by candlelight, some visited neighbors. The middle of the night was a social and psychological window, not an emergency. The brain was designed to wake up in the middle of the dark and think. What you experience as a racing mind is the echo of a biological rhythm that used to have a purpose and now has nowhere to go. When artificial light arrived and the Industrial Revolution restructured the human day, that middle of the night window collapsed. People began sleeping in one consolidated block because the new rhythm demanded it, but the brain's programming didn't change. Your default mode network still wakes up at roughly the same time it always did. It still sends the signal to process, reflect, and evaluate. The difference is that now you're supposed to be asleep, and so the thoughts feel like an intrusion instead of a ritual. You are not broken. You are running ancient software on a modern schedule, but your brain doesn't just think at night. It thinks about specific things, and the pattern of what it chooses is not random. Lisa Feldman Barrett, a neuroscientist at Northeastern University who studies how the brain constructs emotion, has shown that the brain is fundamentally a prediction machine. Every moment of every day, it is running simulations of the future based on patterns from the past. It is not passively receiving the world, it is actively forecasting it, always asking, what comes next and am I ready for it? At night, with no incoming data to process, the prediction engine turns inward. It runs simulations on unresolved situations, it rehearses difficult conversations, it imagines scenarios that haven't happened yet. It does this because in the ancestral environment, being unprepared for tomorrow could mean death. Your brain rehearses the threat so that when it arrives, you have already faced it 100 times in the dark. The anxiety you feel at night is not weakness. It is your threat detection system running drills. The problem is that the threats your brain is rehearsing are almost never physical. They are social. They are relational. They are about what someone thinks of you, whether you said the right thing, whether you are enough, whether tomorrow will go the way you need it to. These are the threats of a social animal embedded in complex human hierarchies, and your brain treats them with the same urgency it once reserved for predators. Because to a social primate, being cast out of the group was a death sentence. You don't fear embarrassment for irrational reasons. You fear it because your brain has correctly identified over millions of years of evolution that social rejection carries existential weight. The person whose image of you just shifted slightly could, in a different time and a different world, decide your fate. Your brain knows this even if your conscious mind has forgotten. This is why the thought that arrives at 2 a.m. is almost never about the leaking pipe or the traffic or the weather. It is almost always about another person, what they said, what you said, what they might think, what might happen between you. Your brain is a social survival machine, and at night, when the day's distractions are gone, it returns obsessively to the only domain it ever truly cared about, your place among other humans. Psychologist Ethan Kross at the University of Michigan has spent years studying the inner voice, the stream of self-talk that narrates your mental life. He found that when this inner voice turns negative and repetitive, particularly at night, it operates almost identically to a bully. It loops, it catastrophizes, it refuses to move on. And crucially, it tends to speak to you in the second person as if it is someone else looking at you from outside. You are not enough, you said the wrong thing, they think you are foolish. The inner critic at 2 a.m. is the voice of imagined social judgment projected inward. But Cross also found something remarkable. The people who managed to silence this voice were not the ones who tried to suppress the thoughts. They were the ones who shifted perspective. Those who could observe their own spiral from a slight distance, what he called self-distancing, were far better at breaking the loop, not fighting it, not telling it to stop, simply stepping back and watching it. Your brain wants to replay, let it, but don't become the film. None of this means you are doomed to sleepless nights of mental chaos. Understanding the mechanism is the beginning of working with it instead of against it. Your brain's nighttime activation is ancient. It is built on rhythms that predate civilization, rhythms your ancestors understood instinctively because they lived inside them. The waking period was not wasted time. It was a psychological chamber between two sleeps where the mind could do what it needed to do: process, rehearse, reflect, and return. You have inherited that chamber. You just forgot what it was for. When the thoughts arrive tonight and they'll wind, and they will, they are not evidence that something is wrong with you. They are evidence that something is deeply, stubbornly, magnificently human about you. Your brain is still doing what it always did. It is holding the unresolved things up to the only light available, the quiet dark. Tonight, when you finally lie down, something strange will happen. The noise will fade. The screens will go dark. Your body will go still, and your mind will start doing exactly what it was built to do.